Hey guys, what's up? It's Snake here, and we have nothing to talk about. It's done. It's over. It's gone. It's passed us by. The book is closed. The door is shut, and the storyline's over. It is finished. Well, almost finished, I guess. You know, there's still going to be a part two to the Moon episode, but that's mainly just going to be speculation. It's going to be conspiracy theories, aliens, pyramids, all that kind of crazy stuff. Richtofen's plan has been realized. We figured out what happened to Sam and Maxis. Nikolai is still a drunk. So we got all our ducks in a row. All our bases have been covered, and we've finished it. It is done, and that's it. That's all she wrote, as they say. So what are we going to do now? What are we going to have next on Snake's channel? I think one of the things, obviously, we should be getting into is some more strategies. I feel like I don't have enough strategies, and there is one strategy for 5 I've been working on. That's not quite perfect yet, but I'm really trying to get us up above 30. And once I can get us above 30 easily, I feel then that way it'll be a good strategy. So that's one I'm working on now. Obviously, I really want to do a good Varut strategy as well, not because I like the map. Actually, but because I hate it. It's my least favorite, and I feel like the main reason why it's my least favorite is because I don't really know a good strategy yet. I don't know a great strategy for Varut. You know, it's a very difficult and interesting map as far as strategies and themes, not themes, strategies and gameplay are concerned because of the way the map is set up. And, you know, I feel like one of the things I need to be doing is playing this map a lot more to figure out exactly what to do. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially now all of you who have never played World at War and are just getting into the old maps, are playing Varut and you're going, well, what the hell is this? Like, how does this work? Where are we supposed to camp and stuff like that? And there's not really camping spots after a certain point. You know what I'm saying? After a certain level, there is no longer camping spots on Varut. And it can really throw players. It definitely throws me. It makes it much more complicated. But anyway, so obviously, strategies I want to get into. I want to do walkthroughs. Obviously, Dead Island needs to have some walkthrough videos for it. A couple people have asked about that. Continue doing reviews like I did with Dead Island. I want to do stuff on Silent Hill, the new Resident Evil eventually when it comes out. And of course, there's going to be tons of videos for me with Modern Warfare 3 and Survival Mode, which will hopefully live up to its expectations. And then you know, one thing that obviously a lot of people have been asking about, and I definitely think is important, is going back to certain maps and really doing a more of an in-depth look at the storyline and you know the hidden secrets and different things like that. 5, of course, is the most obvious. That's the one everybody wants me to talk about. Because there's a lot of things in 5, and we haven't really drawn a completely direct line between 5 and our storyline. Even though we know it takes place in the same storyline, in the same universe, it's not directly related to our 4 characters. And why? Why is it so different? Why did they choose that story to show us in relation to our storyline? What does it really have to do? Excuse me. What does it really have to do with us? Aside from just showing that the zombies have gone everywhere, even to the Pentagon. You know, aside from us showing exactly how large this zombie epidemic is, there's got to be more to it than that. There's got to be a bigger connection between our storyline and the 5 storyline. So obviously I'm going to go more in depth to that. I'm going to go more in depth with Dead Ops, because there's a lot of different interesting things in Dead Ops that don't really have answers, but would be really fun to talk about. You know, it seems really strange that the prison break level looks almost exactly like Vorkuta. I mean, an arcade version of Vorkuta, I should say. But still, you know, there's the connection between the storyline and all that stuff. So there's actually going to be tons of things for me to keep talking about throughout this next year before we have to wait for the next zombie storyline, the next zombie season to pick up. But one of the other ideas I had, and one of the ideas we're going to like sort of kick around today a little bit, was the idea of zombie games that don't exist but should. Zombie games that we want to play but can't because they haven't been made yet. And so for the first zombie game that hasn't been made yet that I would like to talk about today, we're actually going to go back in time to a zombie game that actually does exist and then talk about how we can remake it. Remake it completely. Completely remake Resident Evil, the original Capcom's Resident Evil 1 for PlayStation 1. And it's already been remade once on the GameCube, where they did it shot for shot, camera angle for camera angle, except with better graphics. So if we were to remake it again, we couldn't just remake it like GameCube did. We couldn't just use the same camera angles but make better graphics. We have to take it the next step further. We have to go that extra mile to really make it an amazing video game, to make it better than just going, oh yeah, it's Resident Evil again. And how can we do that? Well, I think the way we can do that is making it a first-person shooter. And I know there's a lot of Resident Evil fans out there right now who heard me say that and think I'm a complete wacko. Because how can you make the original Resident Evil a first-person shooter? It takes away from the difficulty, it takes away from the creepiness, that sort of scary vibe that you get from not knowing if there's going to be a zombie on the other side of the door and trying to run away from a zombie with the terrible control scheme. And I say terrible, it's an interesting control scheme. I didn't like it at first, and most people, I feel like, don't like the control scheme for the original Resident Evil at first, because it definitely takes a little bit of time to get used to. Because the way it works is the up on your control stick is forward for your character. So if your character is facing down on the map, it still goes down when you press up, because up is forward and down is forward because that's the way the character is facing. If that makes sense. It sounded a lot more complicated than, well, it actually is that complicated. It's as complicated as it sounds. So if you want to turn, you have to like push the control stick a little to the left and your character will step sideways. Then you have to press up again to keep moving forward. You can't press left to make him move left. You can't press down to make him move down. It doesn't work like that. It's a lot more complicated. So making it first person would take away from some of that difficulty. But to, of course, add that difficulty back, we always have the fact that in Resident Evils, the original Resident Evils 1 through 3, as well as Code Veronica X, which makes them such a scary game, is not the zombies. It's not the dogs. It's not the biological organic weapons. It's not Wesker. It's not the ambient sound or anything like that. What makes them so scary is the lack of ammo. You know, it's hard as hell to find a clip in a Resident Evil game. And once you have that clip, you know, the zombies take so many bullets to kill. And then on top of that, once you kill the zombie, if you leave it just sit 20 or 30 minutes down the road, it's going to get back up and be a faster, scarier, crazier zombie than it was before. So you don't even want to kill the zombies unless you really, really have to. And then even when you really, really have to, you barely have any weapons or ammo to do it. And so that's what really gives Resident Evil its scary vibe. And I feel like even in first person, we can still do that. But what gives us sort of an advantage with first person is we can make the Easter eggs or the puzzles and different things like that a lot more complicated. We give us a higher chance of getting headshots, because if you get a headshot, then the zombie can't come back to life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think making Resident Evil a first-person shooter sounds like an awesome idea. It sounds like a crazy idea, but I think it could really, really work. And it could make two-player co-op online even better. Because if you remember from the original Resident Evil, you either had to pick Jill or Chris. Well, now you can pick both. You wander off in opposite directions. You have to work together to open up the mansion, to unlock all the puzzles and get to the end, working in tandem but in different parts of the map, where you can still have communication through radio, but then when you're further away, it's harder to hear them. There's more static, or if you're in different parts or in different rooms of the lab or whatever, it cuts out communication completely to sort of add to the difficulty. And if y'all did meet up and y'all are like together to unlock a certain door that you need 2 keys for or something like that, the longer you are together, the more the zombies sort of congregate near you. And so it makes it actually a hindrance to be closer together. Like the further apart you are, the less zombies there are and the easier the game is to play. But yeah, anyway, that looks like that's it for my idea on a Resident Evil first-person shooter game, and hopefully I'm going to do more videos for you like that. But anyway, as you see, we only lasted around 15. Like I said before, I'm not that great at Verut. But until next time, guys, peace out.